Hey, what's up, No One Knows Virgin Gang? Hope you're doing well. I'm doing pretty good. Today, we're going to be going back on the most interesting website there is, r/Pokey Investing. We're going to look at some investment tips that some people had, and there was a relatively interesting question that was posed. I'm sure some people can relate to this. What's the worst pokey investing advice you've received? Now, I know some people listen to a lot of people on the internet, maybe some actual ass clowns that'll try to tell them things and what to put their money into, what product to buy, what cards they should be getting PSA 10s and holding or grading, selling, it's all kinds of stuff, right? But with every gem of beautiful advice you get from people and total strangers online, yeah, I'm sure you get some real stinkers. I'm sure there's some real floating turds that you get when it comes to actual investment advice. So we're going to take a look at some of the people's turds they found. Let's go into this. Alright, here's what the original has to say. Here's what the OP says. Back in 2021, during the crypto craze, people would come to say ditch cards because NFTs of Pokemon cards would be the next big thing, with such certainty, like if NFTs would destroy TCGs. That and the amazing rares would be a big deal. Spent a year debating about buying them. When they first released them, how they were comparing them to new shinies. All kinds of stuff, right? So, yeah, the whole crypto craze, I remember that. I remember people trying to straight up say, yeah, a PNG of Charizard is going to be worth more than a regular Charizard, and everybody kind of fought back against that. Really happy the community did that, because I cannot imagine people just trading around PNGs of cards and stuff like that instead of having a real thing. Look, as goofy as our hobby is, as stupid as our hobby is sometimes, having a physical copy of the card and actually trading it for that at the least makes sense. The whole fucking crypto NFT thing, I'm so glad that went away. As for amazing rares, keep holding on to those. Those are going to be a big deal one day. Those are going to be worth huge money someday. Make sure you have those in PSA 10s as well. You'll be making the big stonks after that, big dog. Let's see what some other people had to say. Let's see what some of the commenters had to say. Invest in Japanese because it's more shiny and original language. Needless to say, I'm down so much. I remember paying $700 for the V-Star Universe Pikachu PSA 10, thinking it was a good deal since it's selling for $800 to $900 market rate. Now it's $100. V-Star Universe booster boxes were $110 to $115. Now it's $55 to $60. Don't even get me started on 151 or Shiny Treasure. Yeah, that's what happens when people actually give it a hype. I remember the V-Star Universe. They're talking about the Pikachu. So in Crown Zenith, it's just a regular pull. But in Japanese, the Pikachu they're talking about, it can only be obtained from a God Pack. And it's with all 9 of those actual ones. I think it's got Marie, Poochyena, Paris, like the whole lineup, the whole artistic group. You can only get that in a God Pack in Japanese. When that came out, a bunch of them were selling for some pretty stupid numbers. Like, people were actually going nutso-butso for some of those. And a lot of people were like, hey, they're probably going to reprint V-Star Universe. They're probably going to make a good bit more of these, so the price is probably going to go down. And of course, the investor bros kick back like, no, this is going to be the big thing forever. You guys need to buy these now. Or maybe they were dumping their own product and their own pulls. Who fucking knows? But needless to say, Japanese did not treat people very well. I tried to warn people. I tried to tell them that Japanese was the cheaper language for a long time, and the second people don't have any interest in it anymore, they're going to throw it to the side and go right back to English. And look where we're sitting now. We're right back in English is king. People are fucking sucking off Greninja cards. The worst advice I was ever given was it's more satisfying to buy packs and actually pull the chase card you want yourself. Fuck that shit. I fell for it for a long time and lost so much money and finally said, screw it. I'm going to buy the singles I want, and if it looks like a really good set, then I'll buy one booster to open, and then singles the rest of the way. Yeah, see, it is actually more satisfying to pull the card. I'm not going to say that's a lie, but the fucking sheer statistics for it is going to it's going to drive you in a hole, man. Like, actually pulling a good card from set, even smaller sets like the Japanese ones, pulling the exact card that you want in the exact rarity, dude, it's a really hard thing to do, and you are better off just buying singles every single time. Financially, that's the way to go if you're trying to pick up cards. You want to actually have some product long term, buy some booster boxes and stuff like that. But yeah, dude, it is more satisfying. But you're definitely going to be eating some fucking ice sandwiches and fucking mustard soup for the next week. Not advice I got, but I remember when Darkness Ablaze came out and everyone was saying that Charizard VMAX is going to be the top chase card for all Sword and Shield. That's funny, because Charizard's not even really in like the conversation anymore when it comes to top Sword and Shield chase cards. It's not even really a big contender. I know the one from Brilliant Stars isn't bad, but people will happily throw that one aside to get a fucking Umbreon VMAX or a Lugia. Like, people will be like, oh, fuck you Charizard, I'm gonna get myself a Giratina, yeah boy. Like, even Aerodactyl is giving fucking Charizard a run for its money, I'm pretty sure. That's It's a crazy world we live in, but that's the world we live in. Charizard's no longer the big crowd pleaser anymore, and honestly, other Pokemon are starting to get the spotlight, you know, the legendaries from Johto and Sinnoh and stuff like that. Can't say it's really a bad thing. I really do like Charizard getting pushed to the side like the little nostalgia bait that he is. He's really not that great, and he's not like the best Pokemon that was ever made. I'm sure for a lot of nostalgia heads that really hurt your feelings, but this is the truth. There's a lot better Pokemon than Charizard, and people are starting to realize that. People are starting to put their money into it. And hey, I don't make the rules here. I don't make them. If you wanted Charizard to be expensive, he'd be expensive, but he's not. So, you know, there's that. Darkness Ablaze is funny, though, because that is probably the worst set next to Champion's Path in the entirety of Sword and Shield. Really nothing of good in there other than the trainer cards. I do like Rose and I do like Pierce, and that's really the main things. Well, that's not true. I think that set also has Salamence and Scizor. There's some good cards in there, but nothing really that the investors would fucking like. Oh, this was the big one. This was the really, really big one. I remember when this happened too. Buying Celebrations instead of Evolving Skies. Both came out around the same time, but Celebrations had more hype, being an anniversary set, and especially with the Charizard, and people think Evolving Skies would get plenty of reprints. Well, I do think Evolving Skies did get plenty of reprints. It's just they got consumed really quickly because it turned out everybody loves fucking Evolutions more than they like Charizard. That's what happened there, and it's been shown over and over and over again in the Sword and Shield and the Scarlet and Violet era. They're just the best ones. And it's coming true with this stuff too. I remember people talking about Celebrations. People like Celebrations is going to be the set. And I don't think Celebrations is going to be a bad set going forward. I definitely think there's going to be some appeal for people to open it up. But I mean, they've reprinted the same certain number of cards, like the big chase card, and that is Charizard. I will say the great thing about Celebrations is they finally reprinted Blastoise and Venusaur. I will say that, and they gave those two a really good treatment for that. That's like the best part about any of that stuff. But then it gets fucking completely overshadowed by the Classic Collection, which does the exact same thing, but in my personal opinion, a little bit worse than the Celebrations TCG. Like, I don't think the Classic Collection cards look bad, but they keep reprinting the same shit. Like, it's like Evolutions and goddamn, like, fucking Celebrations and all this stuff. They keep making different versions of them. Will they always have a little bit of value for what they are? Absolutely. But in my true opinion, they're always going to get outclassed by stuff like Evolving Skies, and we've watched that fucking happen time and time again. People really, really like Rayquaza. People really, really, really like Evolutions, and money speaks when it comes to that stuff, man. I hate to be that guy, but like, if you put a whole lot of money in Celebrations, I mean, you still have, if you have product, you're probably fine. People are still going to want to open the product eventually down the line. The singles, though, I don't see those being too crazy further down. I really don't. I mean, look at Evolutions, for example, for that. I mean, like, there's nothing really expensive in that set. The boxes are stupid expensive, but the cards are dumb cheap, and that's really what's going to happen. Hope you learned something. Hope you figure something out. What's your worst piece of advice you've gotten from anybody online? What's your worst piece? Please let me know in the comments below. A later version, gang. My worst piece of advice was to get all your stuff CGC graded. That was they're the grading company for the people. They're the ones that are, yeah. Big mistake I made.